My wife spent our entire therapy session destroying me. I had no idea she felt that way.
Oh, no. It sounds like maybe they're in the wrong therapy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm a couples therapist. That should not happen.
And there is a trigger warning for mentions of past mistreatment. My wife, 30 female, and I, 32 male, met in college when she was 20 and I was 22. We got married right afterward when she was 22 and I was 24. I knew she had a lot of personal issues back then, and when she got her first internship in college and got on her own phone plan, her parents disowned her for trying to be more independent. Oh. By the way, this comes from throwaway 857393373. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Mary Kay Cachero. I'm a couples therapist in Los Angeles.
And I'm Keon, and thank you so much, Mary Kay, for coming in today and helping us up with these stories and giving us your advice.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you.
Some of the mistreatment she suffered growing up was mostly verbal mistreatment, being told she was useless and stupid, that no man will ever want her, that she'll end up on the streets, and other things of that nature. Needless to say, she has carried a lot of this pain with her and has not been able to put it behind her. I, on the other hand, grew up in a loving family in another country, and they were able to bring me and my siblings to America when I was 10. My family is very close-knit, and I've always felt supported, and some might say that I was the golden child out of my 7 siblings. But while the emotional support was there, we were very poor, and I was always starving. We've been together for 10 years at this point, and there have been a lot of problems that have come up that my wife has held on to. I didn't realize how bitter she was about everything until we went to couples counseling together a few days ago, where she spent the entire time complaining and not being productive at all. Here's a list of some issues she brought up. Number 1, I refused to relocate for her to pursue her career goals. This conversation happened 3 years ago, and I didn't realize she held a grudge. Number 2, I don't do enough household chores. 3, I won't sign a post-nap. 4, she's making a lot more money than me, which ties back to the above 3 issues. But she only recently came into a lot of money due to startups that she has joined previously going public and finally being able to cash out on the equity she was given. I made $100K as a charge nurse. She is a software engineer and currently brings in $500K annually due to yearly equity vesting. Minus the equity, I think her base salary is around $180K. It feels like I prioritize my parents because I give them money. They do have a gambling problem, I'll admit, and I go over to their place weekly to help out and cook because of my dad's kidney surgery. I tried to move my parents in with us when my dad was on dialysis. He got a kidney transplant since then, so he's fine now. My wife does not like my parents and said my mom would try to take over the household and leave crap everywhere. Next issue, we work opposite shifts, so we barely see each other. I work night shift, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., with a 45-minute commute each way, and refuse to work day shift because I hate waking up in the morning and they pay me more for working nights. My wife works 60 to 80 hours per week remotely due to the vid, with the expectation to return to the office in a few months. Her hours per day vary, but she has to work the core business hours of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, with hours thrown in on the weekends or at night, depending on workload or deadlines. So the opposite shifts, coupled with me working 3 days a week and usually spending 1 day a week with my parents, and her holding herself up in her office in meetings all day, causes us to not be able to see each other often. Last year, her mom called me and left me a voicemail letting me know her father passed away and to tell my wife and let her know she can come to the funeral if she wants. I got this voicemail right before I was supposed to go meet up with some friends, so I just gave my wife my phone and had her listen to it and went to go take a shower. That is an interesting way to react when you just found out your wife's father passed away.
I say the whole thing's interesting.
Yes.
Why isn't the mother telling her own daughter that her grandfather?
Yeah.
Or we're playing like a game of
Telephone,
telephone here,
yeah.
you know,
Like,
which is not the best communication.
Yeah.
Especially with something like this. This is very emotional telephone where, why are we doing this?
The husband's like, I heard your father passed out. I think I misheard.
Oh,
keeps going.
wow.
No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. Just the telephone.
Okay.
When I came out, my wife laying in bed, and I didn't think anything of it because I know she hated her family. So why would she care if her dad passed away? I grabbed my phone and went out with my friends that night.
Okay. I said maybe there wasn't a lot of emotional maturity. I really want to double down on that idea right now because, you know, this is a demonstration of some very young behavior.
Yeah, I can see why she might have some issues with UOP. When I came home, she told me she couldn't process why she was feeling sad over her dad's passing. And I told her she shouldn't feel sad because she hated him.
Whenever couples should each other, you know they're in trouble.
Yes. I think this man has the emotional range of a teaspoon.
Yeah, especially telling someone, you shouldn't feel like that.
Yeah, don't feel what you're feeling.
Yeah.
He's like, just don't. Have you tried that? I remember her telling me that I was horrible at giving emotional support and that I shouldn't have hung out with my friends that night after giving her that news. So as you can see, there have been a lot of pent-up issues my wife has held on to. I kept quiet for most of the therapy session while my wife vented, but she was doing it in a very accusatory way, always blaming me for everything instead of trying to figure out ways to improve our relationship. I think the therapist was taken aback too because they just said there was a lot to unpack there once we ran out of time. Our next appointment is next week.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that the therapist takes charge of that, of the sessions, because couples coming in and venting, accusing, blaming, pointing at each other is not good couples therapy.
Have you ever had a person,
no, because I take charge of the sessions. I've been a therapist for 36 years. Maybe I had those sessions the first 6 months. I'm not sure. It was a long time ago. But it really is the therapist's job to help couples to communicate in a way that doesn't feel like a dump of issues in the first session. I think there's a lot here that probably she has every right to feel resentful about, but communicating it in the way that that therapist allowed her to is not going to be useful.
Yeah, to the point where it seemed like she spoke until they ran out of time.
Yeah, well, and the therapist, I mean, I don't know, but in my mind, the therapist is just overwhelmed. Yeah. It sounds, I mean, I'm overwhelmed listening to this story, so I can imagine what it would have been like to have the energy in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. We were told to fill out a quiz to figure out each other's love languages, look into the book, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, and to focus on one issue next time. Since that session, I've been reflecting on a lot of the issues my wife brought up. I can see how I was wrong on some of them, like the chores, but other problems like relocating were on her. I want to make this marriage work, and I think my wife is amazing and a very strong person, but she's uptight and expects a lot out of herself and others. Another reason I'm compelled to make this work is because I don't believe in divorce. I'm from the Philippines where divorce is illegal, and it was just not something that was ever an option for me or anyone in my family.
Interesting.
And yeah, Keon is Filipino, so.
Okay.
So this is putting it all into perspective now.
Yeah.
So what can I do to improve myself and my marriage? And there is an edit, but before we get into that edit, now that we finally have the question, which I think, it seemed like that was the one that was coming. Do you have any other thoughts for OP?
So many thoughts. I think, first of all, what we don't know is whether or not his wife wants to save this marriage.
Yeah, because he has the cultural background, but
he's not actually going to be able to do that on his own.
Yes.
And she sounds very angry. Mm-hmm. It's a bit astonishing to me that where this therapist would start is with love languages, because I feel like that should be way down the road.
Yeah.
There are so many things to address in this couple. Mm-hmm. Love languages it's great work, but I just don't think they're there yet.
Yeah. Are they still in love?
Yeah. And it's always good to read any book by Gottman. They have done tremendous research on what makes marriages succeed and what makes them fail.
They did an orange experiment. It was very popular on TikTok. Where
I don't know about that. What is it?
Basically, the idea of if you ask your partner for an orange, do they peel it for you, or do they immediately go and grab it for you? And so it's about, do you notice your partner doing small acts of service? And it was from the Gottman Institute.
Yeah. Well, the Gottmans have done a lot of really great research. And I think that book that was mentioned is a very good one for couples to read. But this couple's in trouble. They're in crisis. I don't think bibliotherapy is going to do it for them. Yeah. One of the things I do that might help a couple like that is I do private intensives where couples come for 2 8-hour days, so that it's a very deep dive into the pain. And because underneath all that anger is a lot of pain, a lot of disappointment, a lot of fear. They apparently don't have any way to express that with each other. Yeah. So there's a lot of work here to do. And I don't think sending them off to read a book is really going to help.
Yeah. And it also seems like she's coming from a family that didn't show her how to love or have a healthy relationship. He's coming from a big family that had financial issues. So it seems like they just had very different upbringings and are not necessarily or don't necessarily know how to communicate in the same styles.
Exactly. And truthfully, most good couples therapy starts with better model of communication. Because if you stay on the surface of the anger, the resentment, the frustration, you're not really getting to the heart of the matter. And so you could solve a problem, but a new problem will come up because you haven't really solved what's underneath.
Mm-hmm. And then you're always going back to the therapist when maybe they need to teach you how to solve it together.
Yeah, I don't think good couples therapy actually should last years and years.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same
as individual therapy.
Yeah, it's a very different paradigm. The relational paradigm means that you're working on the dynamic between two people, and you can shift those patterns pretty quickly if you do it well.
But maybe that's not what's happening here.
Maybe not.
Yeah. But we have
But let's be fair, they've only had one session.
Yeah, maybe the second session will be
better. And it
better.
could be, the therapist has gone and talked to a supervisor or has done some collaboration with a colleague and said, whoa, they came in like wildfire and I froze.
Yeah.
Because in the same way that our clients have a nervous system, and clearly this couple is in a fight or flight kind of stuck pattern, we as therapists also have nervous systems, and we can go into freeze when somebody overwhelms us. Now, the more experience you have and the more you work on yourself as a therapist, the better you'll be able to stay there emotionally with your clients. But it sounds like this therapist went into freeze a little bit and just let it happen. So maybe she's regrouped, she has regrouped and is going to be much better in the second session.
I hope so. But we do have an edit. I think only posting what my wife said in therapy about my wrongdoings has swayed the comments. My wife is a very pessimistic person and sees and expects the worst out of people. So she focuses on things she perceives as mistakes on my part. I'm a positive person and I always try to see the best in people. If I had to throw together a list of her wrongdoings from the past, nagging and trying to manipulate me after I tell her no, like moving to day shift or relocating. She should have taken no for an answer and respected my boundaries instead of pressing the issue. And if she doesn't get the answer she wants, she continues to press on it. The post-nup was also something she hasn't dropped yet and won't take no for an answer. Post-nups are not okay in a trusting relationship, and she's in the wrong for being selfish and wanting me to sign one. She's a smoker. I told her how bad it is for her, and she continues to do it anyway. She wasn't always a smoker and picked it up during our relationship. 2 years ago, she initiated a separation that lasted for 6 months just because I said yes to my friend inviting himself to my dad's Father's Day celebration at a restaurant. She hates this friend and calls him a misogynist and said that no one else in my family was bringing their friends, so I shouldn't bring him. A restaurant is a public place. He can go anywhere he wants. And what right did I have to say he couldn't go to a public place? I gave her the option of staying home, but she still went. And the next day, she told me she wanted me out. She was the one who gave up and made me move out of the house, even though I own half of it. During that time, she would go to happy hours with her old coworkers, and one of them started hitting on her. He even bought her an Apple Watch. Oh, wow. And she accepted the gift, and thinking about this makes me sick. She wanted to separate just so she could flaunt her new status to other men, and had the audacity to accept an expensive gift from someone who is obviously trying to sleep with her. I'm an extrovert and like going out, while she's an introvert and a homebody. And when we got back together after the separation, we have not gone on a single date. She also refuses to go to any of my family events now. And my mom's birthday happened earlier this month, and my wife refused to go. It hurts having to go to all of my family events alone, while all of my siblings are there with their spouses. I feel drained and my cup is empty all the time. She's hypercritical and I don't feel supported by her. I don't cook for her because she doesn't like my cooking. And whenever I try, she starts backseat cooking and putting in salt and other seasonings to make it taste better. I cook for my parents when I can because they don't complain and are grateful to me. By the way, I hope you guys are grateful about all the full episodes we have with stories just like this. And if you want more, you can go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story. I think it is very funny that he said, if I had to come up with a couple things I didn't like about her.
Right. They have a lot of shared resentment.
Yes.
And I mean, as a therapist, I'd be very curious to hear about, the early part of their story.
Yeah, the
like,
good
did
part.
they love each other in the beginning? And what did they love about each other? It's a story just so replete with blame and shaming, and you didn't and you don't and you can't. It's hard to even know where to begin with the story. So I would not start with the story.
Yeah.
I'd start with, what is your wildest dream for this relationship? And if we had a magic wand and made it perfect, what would it look like?
Wait,
I
what are
want to
you
know
fighting
what their
for?
deepest desires are, their longings, their highest aspirations for this relationship, because you could spend the next year listening to all the complaints, but where would you be at the end?
Yeah.
They would conclude that marriage therapy doesn't work. They'd quit. And they wouldn't be wrong. That wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And then what? He sounds like he's going to stick it out no matter what, but she doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, she's already separated once, so
I'm just praying these two don't have kids.
doesn't seem like it.
I didn't hear anything about
they haven't
kids.
mentioned it. I think they are still fairly young. Yeah. I'm not sure what exactly their ages are, but I think they said they got married at about 22. So I think they're still fairly young.
They're in their early 30s right
Okay,
now.
so they're not that young, but
Well,
yeah, still in the scheme of things, I suppose. Yeah, it doesn't seem like they've had a healthy marriage. I don't know when it started going wrong, though.
yeah, and that'd be an interesting question, right? Like, when was it better?
Yeah.
What happened? But I think one thing people need to know is that you can get into a relationship in the beginning when you're falling in love. There are just so many chemicals and hormones in the brain. And so for 2 years we don't notice all these things that we're later going to resent. They're there. We just don't see them. And then we start, those chemicals and hormones start fading away. They're not meant to last. I mean, biologically, they're meant to last long enough for you to get together and have your first child, because nature cares about procreation, not so much about happiness.
Yeah.
So, by the time that happens, couples are looking at each other just like, what? How did I end up with you? You don't fit any of the boxes. But there was something in the beginning. And I'm always curious about what was it in the beginning, and was it enough? Sometimes people say, well, we were really attracted to each other.
But
that's nice. But now you're living with someone you're totally incompatible with.
Sure.
So I think the point here would be to help them stop focusing on their disappointment and anger and resentment. Not that it's not important, but to get to the heart of it. Like, really, what are they trying to do here with each other? And what would need to shift? I like the idea of just kind of focusing on one thing at a time. But those are just issues. All of those issues are related to one fundamental thing. And the thing is, these people are not meeting each other's needs.
But there is a little bit left to this
There's
story.
more?
Yeah, just a
Okay.
little bit.
There's
We're
more.
almost done.
Okay.
I am also the one that has been going to individual therapy.
Okay.
Before, she suggested couples counseling, and she has never been to individual therapy. During my own therapy appointments, I'm always seeking ways to improve myself and be a better husband. My therapist has also pointed out that my wife seems to use projection and projects a lot of her issues onto me. Every time we fight, my wife brings up the past, which is not productive, and I keep telling her to stop holding grudges and that we need to look forward. So as you all can see, we can both be in the wrong. We've been together for a long time and I have accumulated a lot of baggage, but I want to move forward and let those grudges go. The contempt she has is going to end us, and I want to figure out how to move past it. And that is the end of the story.
Okay,
But,
so he has a willingness. He has some insight into his own behavior.
Yeah.
Probably not enough. I'm not crazy about the fact that the individual therapist is
Kind of shifting a little blame.
diagnosing the wife, but that's what happens in individual therapy, which is why I think individual therapy is so important for individuals, but not necessarily the best place to solve your marital issues.
Yes.
Because
you
of
kind
course
have to
the
work together.
individual therapist is only hearing his side.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can change a lot of things about the story when you're just there.
But it is hopeful that he's wanting to look at himself and his own behaviors.
Yeah.
And, maybe he'll come to the place where, culture or not, he'll realize that this isn't going to sustain
Yeah.
itself over time. But I wouldn't give up on him yet. I just think they have a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. I've been emotionally parenting my partner for years, and I've finally had enough.
All right. I hear that a lot. I get that.
I, 37 male, have been with my partner, 31 female, for about 4 years. We have a 2.5-year-old daughter together, and I've recently realized I don't feel like an equal partner anymore. I feel like the emotional parent in the relationship. By the way, this comes from Uppers36, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Mary Kay Cachero, couples therapist.
Oh, and I'm Keon. And Mary Kay, thank you so much for being here today and answering our questions and helping us read these stories.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you
you're
so
so welcome. This is fascinating. I'm so happy to participate.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you.
And OP says, I'm the one who regulates, stabilizes, and softens everything. When she's stressed, overwhelmed, or her emotional state becomes the gravitational center of her home. When I bring up practical concerns like finances, routines, or household issues, she often hears it as a personal attack. The conversation shifts to her feeling inadequate, and I ended up comforting her while the actual problem gets lost. Over time, this dynamic has made me feel like my needs barely exist. I walk on eggshells to avoid setting off stress or defensiveness. I've become quieter, more cautious, and less like myself. Some ways this shows up. We don't sleep in the same bed anymore. She sleeps with our daughter, and her absence feels symbolic of the emotional distance between us. She goes out drinking with friends once or twice a week. Now that we're parents, I've stepped back from that lifestyle. I'm a social person too, but I've chosen to be home more. I don't resent that choice. I resent that I feel alone in making it. Once, when she came home wasted, I mentioned it made me uncomfortable, and her response was essentially, "Sorry, I just have a better social life than you. I'm a musician and play shows with my band." She always attends, but tends to spend the night with her friends and sometimes shows up wasted once I'm already on stage. It feels like she's physically there, but not actually with me. Finances have added another layer. I cover most of the household expenses, and she gives me about $600 a month, which is about 25% of her paycheck. Meanwhile, I'm spending more than my entire paycheck just to keep everything running. I have $0 available for discretionary spending, and I paid off her credit card 3 separate times, and each time it's been maxed out again. The last time, she actually increased her limit and then maxed it out again. I told her I won't pay it off again unless we join finances and make a plan together. But when it's time to sit down and budget, she checks out, and I'm left carrying the entire financial burden alone. We've tried therapy, 4 sessions now. After each one, things improve for about 5 days. She's kinder, more engaged, more aware of my emotional reality. Then the old patterns return. The last session, I was at my breaking point and told myself I'd get us back into therapy as a last-ditch effort. One morning, she texted me from the downstairs bedroom saying, "Come downstairs," with a kiss emoji. It made me happy because she almost never initiates affection like that. When I got downstairs, I said something like, "What's with the text? You never send me stuff like that." And instead of it being a light moment, it immediately flipped into her saying I was being negative and defensive. Within seconds, we were in an argument. Oh, dang.
That's not good foreplay.
No, he's like, "Ooh, why did you send the text?" And she's like, What do you mean?"
Yeah, but he followed it up with a "you never."
Yes, yeah.
So "you never" is probably not ever.
Yes.
Ever. "You never" is never good. I'm going to
Yeah,
just say
yeah.
that. Yeah. Do you hear in that story kind of a difference in maturity? He has really sort of stepped into a different role in life.
The parent.
He's
of
not
his
out with
child,
his
yeah.
buddies. He's home. He's a parent. He's trying to be responsible about time,
Yeah.
about drinking, about
Finances.
finances.
Mhm.
And she's just kind of not there yet.
Yeah.
And, if therapy does a good job for about 5 days, I would say you should come to therapy every 5 days.
That's a good point.
I mean, if it works for 5 days,
Mhm.
let's make it every 6 days and see if we can get this
having
going
it like
longer.
a weekly.
And they've only been in 4 sessions. This isn't
Yeah.
magic.
No.
They need to keep working on things. But it does sound like they weren't quite ready, or she was not quite ready to
be a
settle
parent.
into the responsibility of parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not terribly unusual. I will confess I hear this more from women about men, but this is a guy. And, he's stepping up as a dad and he needs mom to do the same. When I hear wasted 3 times in one narrative, I begin wondering if there's an problem.
Mm-hmm.
That might be something to address
Yeah.
for sure in therapy. It could be like teenage rebellion showing up, like you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me how much to drink or how much to be with my friends. But there may be a drinking component to this that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And honestly, this sounds like, I'm glad they're in couples therapy, but she might actually benefit from some individual therapy as well.
Absolutely. It does seem like that. It seems like she's kind of pushing away the responsibilities that they share.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious about what is the history of responsibility taking in her life. Where did she learn this? Where did she get the idea that you could have a child and not really step up? We don't know anything about her childhood yet.
Yeah. I'm also wondering what their relationship was like before they had their daughter, which was like about 2.5 years ago. Why they have the current financial setup of her only paying 25%?
Well, and that's also a place where they had a wedding but didn't get married because they haven't talked about finances. They don't have a shared budget, shared accounts, shared responsibilities.
No, it's just her paying stuff and then him paying it off.
Well, yeah, it's like a her money and my money, and sometimes I help her out.
and
It's
my money
kind of
is also
messed
her
up for
money.
marriage. Like, I wouldn't recommend doing a marriage that way. And when you say you're curious about what they were like before this child, this is not unusual. Having a child completely changes the dynamic.
Yeah.
Now, It's the most joyful thing you can do, but it's also the most stressful thing you can do.
Yes.
And there's actually quite a lot of help out there for parents who need to look at how to be a parent and still maintain their marital relationship. In fact, the Gottmans have a workshop. I think it's called Bringing Baby Home or something. There's a workshop for new parents or actually expectant parents, like how is this baby going to change our relationship? And it's so important because the marriage or the commitment to one another is the foundation. So if it's not good, we're building a family on a very shaky foundation.
Yes.
Kids don't fare all that well when their parents fall apart and divorce.
Yeah, which it seems like we're not having a really strong foundation right here.
But let's give them credit. They're in therapy.
That's a good start.
They're trying.
Yeah.
He's bringing things up. It sounds like he's bringing them up in a pretty healthy fashion. And hopefully they will absolutely be able to work through all of these things.
Even when something starts off positive, it turns into conflict so fast that I end up feeling confused and discouraged. I even said to her once that I feel like I used to be a more extroverted, spontaneous, positive person and have squashed myself down from living in survival mode. She said, I'd love to meet that person someday, as if I had chosen to be this way. I'm scared that staying like this is slowly draining the parts of me that make me a good father and a stable person. I'm trying to understand whether this dynamic is something we can truly repair or whether the healthiest choice is to step away before I lose myself completely. And we do have an update. A lot has happened since my original post. Over the last few days, I finally told my partner that I don't want to be in the relationship anymore. It wasn't a dramatic moment. It was me finally saying words I had been avoiding for months. Last weekend was a tipping point. She had an art show and I helped her a lot with it. Built frames, set things up. At the show, I was asked by a mutual friend to cover the TJ booth. And she embarrassed me in front of everyone by yelling at me to get off because I was messing it up. One of her friends consoled me and I left early. Later, she got home completely wasted.
I think we have a problem here.
I think so. Got in my face and mocked me about the way I was sitting on the couch. It felt really humiliating. And inside, it broke something in me. I told her I don't think I can come back from how things have been. She apologized for the weekend, but then went straight into talking about how shocked she was and how she can't believe I would tear apart the family. She keeps asking if I'm 100% sure, but she still doesn't ask me what's going on with me, what I need, or how things could change. It is the same pattern as always. My feelings come second, sometimes last. We have a young daughter together, and the idea of breaking our home apart makes me sick. Right now, we're still living together, and I feel unstable. Even now, faced with the breakup, not once has she asked me what I need from her or how she can help fix things. It's all guilt about how I'm tearing the family apart and that our daughter will grow up without a father just like she did. She told me I'm making a really impulsive decision, but we've been to 4 therapy sessions and I've been fighting about the same things for years. It seems like ultimately OP did end up divorcing his now ex. Yeah, so it seems like in the end, OP decided to leave.
I'm not terribly surprised.
Yeah, it did seem like there was a lot of toxicity in that relationship. And
And zero accountability.
Absolutely.
Looks like. Yeah.
I wonder if he got more than 50% custody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she said, my child's going to grow up without a father, but if she has this drinking and isn't able to financially support her, then I imagine that he probably got more, if not all, of the custody.
In the state of California, he did not get all.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work that way unless you're, in front of the
Sure.
child or beating them. It's
pretty hard to do that.
Yeah. But it's good that he takes responsibility.
Yeah. At least the child has someone. But that is the end of that story on a happy note. But thank you so much for coming in and answering our questions. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I mean, you can tell that my leaning is always toward let's talk,
improve,
let's create safety, let's work this out, let's stay together, especially when there are children involved.
Which I think is why they come to you.
But I tell every couple there are 2 votes and each person gets a vote whether to stay or go. Unfortunately, I do not get a vote.
Yeah.
And I know I do not get a vote, but I try to help them. I try to help create clarity so they make a good and calm decision, not a reactive one.
Absolutely.
I refused to go to my husband's friend's house. Then he went without me.
No fair. I wanted to go.
I, 26 female, and my husband, 27 male, have a toddler, 2 female. I don't know how everyone else has it, but our toddler creates so much chaos wherever she is. She is so curious. She explored everything all the time, loves to rearrange stuff, and she runs wherever she needs to go.
That sounds like a 2-year-old.
Yeah. Basically, she is like what I've seen most 2-year-olds be like. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this comes from Training Win 1787. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Savannah.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Keon.
And we are here to give some good advice, but we're going to do it in a goofy fashion.
Sure are.
And so we want to know what you would do in a goofy fashion in the comments. As OP says, at home, it's fine. Of course, I try to keep her in check, but we have, of course, child-proofed our entire home. The problem here is that one of my husband's friends and his girlfriend live just 5 minutes away from us. My husband and I get invited there almost every weekend, whether it's for food or just coffee. They're lovely people, but their house is filled with stuff. It's messy and overall the opposite of our home. No problem, they don't have children and they like to have stuff around. Problem is that every weekend I spend 3 hours running after her, comforting her when she trips, making sure she doesn't break stuff or puts things in her mouth. It's honestly tiring, and the fact that my husband just sits at the table and chats while I run around like crazy for so long irritates me.
And there's the problem.
Yep, it's not your friends.
Nope.
It's not your baby. It's your
Husband. Ding, 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 ding. Go get your kid, hubby. Run after her. I think you put a timer on, and after the timer goes off, you switch. And that's my solution.
Oh, yeah. When we got invited over 2 weekends ago, I told him I wouldn't tag along. I explained my reasons, and he told me that I was overreacting and that it's a normal part of parenting. I told him that either way, I wasn't coming. If he wanted our daughter to tag along, he could bring her. So he did. And he came back after just an hour and was in a bad mood the rest of the day. Oh.
That was so hard.
Yeah.
It was
It's
really
hard.
hard. I had to run after her the whole time.
I asked him how it went, and he asked me if I felt happy with myself.
Oh, yeah, Opie's sitting there. She's like sipping a glass. She's sipping a
She's
cup
like,
of coffee. She's
"Oh,
like,
yeah."
how'd it go? He's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Literally, shut up.
I'd be
having
like,
yourself-
yeah, wasn't it horrible? I told you.
Yeah.
This last weekend, we got invited over once again. I asked him if he wanted to look after himself or do 50-50 with me. He didn't respond and went there himself. He's been off with me the whole week, making passive-aggressive remarks about my insane need to always be right. And yeah, other stuff. I don't think it's an insane need to be right. I think it's just, he's like, oh no, like I'm not doing that. This is just part of parenting. And it's like, oh, it is? Well, then you try it. And he
then
did
he tried it.
and he's
now
like, oh,
unhappy.
this is horrible.
Yeah.
He got in your shoes.
Is it an insane need to be right, or is she just right?
True. I'm starting to feel like maybe I went overboard because I know he has a much harder time keeping her in check than I have. And even I have it hard. Am I the a-hole for refusing to go there if that means I have to watch her the whole time? No. Then coming to us isn't an option. I don't know why, because before his girlfriend moved in, he was here just as much as we were at his place. But after she moved in, he has declined every invite to come here. Interesting. By the way, I'll always invite you to listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app and just search up OK Storytime. There's a little bit left. What do we think?
You're not the a-hole. Don't let him make you think you're the a-hole. You just asked us, is it right for when we go over to our friends, I look after our child the whole time?
Yeah.
The only reason he wants you to come is so you can watch the child.
Yeah.
Well, he gets to lollygag. No,
Literally.
sir, no lollygagging for him.
No, sir. No lollygagging.
You get 20
No
minutes of
lollygagging.
lollygagging, and then you swap.
Yeah. I think it's just, he just didn't realize what he got himself into.
Mhm.
And he's like, it's not that hard. And then you try it. It's like, oh my God, she doesn't sit still.
So energetic. I have
That's a
babysat
2-year-old.
an insane 2.5-year-old. She did not. She was lovely, but she would not stop.
Yeah.
Like, truly, the most energetic 2.5-year-old I've ever met. We would spend 5 hours. I would babysit her 5 hours every time. And we would run in circles around the house for 5 hours.
That's what
And
I
I'd be
do.
like, do you want to watch TV? And she'd be like, no, no.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that was me the other night.
Yeah.
When I was watching my neighbor, and we went over to the boy's house, and they have a little like seesaw that like spins and stuff, and so we always are on that. And she's just like, again, and I'm like,
Please.
I'm just a little tired.
Please. Yeah, it's like my little baby cousin or my cousin's kids. Whenever I visit them, they love Sam and I because we always play with them, and they love when we spin them around. You know, like when you like hold them by their hands, you spin them, and they'll just go again, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, it's like once you do something that's fun,
Yeah.
it's like, oh no, now I have to do it 500 times.
And then I have to be like, I'm gonna go help like the parents, and they're like, okay, but come back. I'm like,
yep. Yeah.
anyway, those weren't my kids. This is your kid, so figure it out, dude.
There's an update. We've talked pretty short about it this morning, and it turns out he got pretty embarrassed at his friend's house. We will probably talk more about it, but yeah, he pretty much realized the difference in how much we both put in. Don't know if I will make an update post if people want it, and if something changes or anything, I will probably. If not, thanks for all the comments. I've tried to read both the top comments and the ones who got downvoted, and I think both were pretty helpful for what points I will bring up. That's the end of that story.
Well, there you go. Good luck, OP.
Yeah, good luck, OP.